But underneath all of that,
Right.
there's all these angles are in there. Whether this is 0-degree elevation, which is nothing, or if it's taken out to a 45, you know, let's say that this is the back of the head, the nape, whether it's 0 coming down like this, or if it's taken out to 45 like this, or if it's taken to 90 like this. This is what you have to envision, and you have to look at this first before you can go any further.
And that's what you have to understand
Right.
in order to get the basic
Right.
concept of the mechanics. Okay?
Okay. We all know concave parting. A horizontal parting, which is equal distribution. There's no weight pushing it. It's just going to fall in its natural. And then you have convex, which is just the opposite of concave, but yet doing the same thing. The short hair here is going to push the weight back here. The same as on the concave, the short hair here push the weight out this way. So if you're cutting a convex angle on the side, what's going to happen? This short hair, because you're freeing up the weight, you're freeing this short piece right here, and all the way back, you're freeing that up to move the hair back this way. The same as if your angle here is concave, the shortest point is here, this is short, so this is pushing. There's less weight, there's less resistance this has. It's going to move this hair this way. Do we understand that? Anybody, any questions on that? I know some people have a problem, they get a little confused with concave and convex angles as to what they do. Ulysses, hi. Is there any questions on that? I mean, let's go through this so that you thoroughly understand it. Don't be afraid to ask a question. You're with all your friends in here. There's no one that's going to make fun of us.
Okay. 90 degrees is straight off the head wherever you hold it. 45 is half of that. But now concave and convex are angles. They're not degrees.
Right. Yeah.
Vicki had a really good explanation one night of it. And concave, if you just think of a cave, you know?
Convex is a V.
Think of your A-line. That's why it was called an A-line. It was called an A-line because
Looks
it's
like an A.
A-line.
A part.
It's a concave. It's an A-line. That's what it is.
Okay. I mean, a concave is the same thing as diagonal forward, because that hair is being pushed forward. Okay? Diagonal backwards is convex because the weight's being pushed towards the back.
Okay, now we're going to take it a step. Everyone understands that. Okay, everyone, all of the schools, academies, all teach you some form of concave, convex, what they call it, diagonal forward, diagonal back, parallel, or horizontal. They're going to teach you some form of mechanics. They have to. It's the only way they can teach hair cutting. That's good hair cutting. What we teach is we add another step in here. And this other step is this parting, this center parting. Let's just take a center parting down the back of the head. Now, if you take, and you're going to do a concave, draw your parting. Right, your angle is concave. Here's your parting. It's nice and clean. You're going to hold this totally parallel. Here's where a lot of people go off. If you hold this completely parallel to this part, this center parting here, completely parallel. Don't pull it over this way and like that, or don't pull it over this way like that, because you're going to end up shorter or you're going to end up longer. It has to be, let me do this on my head, Joe. It has to be totally parallel.
This is
guys notice the blonde that I have to work on tonight? Compliments of Scott.
This is where the discipline that Catherine was talking about, okay? Looking at where the hair is falling.
Water bottle, please. Okay, a lot of you who have been in the class know that I am a pain in the ass about seeing clumps of hair all over the head. It looks very unprofessional. It's not necessary. It costs you time. You don't look good. You just... This is what you should look like. This is what the client should look like. We need one party. This hair we have no use for because we're doing design side and copy side. Now this is not to say that once you understand everything, you can choose to work side to side. I don't have any problem with that. The reason I like to teach you this way, it builds confidence because you're not going back and forth. There's no need to go back and forth. It's not necessary. It's quicker this way, it's neater looking, and you get the same job done. If you follow the system. If you break from the system, it's not going to happen. One party, your center party. Comb the hair in the direction that you're going to cut. You're going to be cutting concave angle, so comb it in that direction. Get it clean, clean it all through. Fine end of the comb. Determine the angle. Excuse me. Determine the angle you're going to take. That's how deep I want my party. That's the angle I want.
And what's the angle going to determine in your haircut?
Which direction the hair is pushed.
Notice I take a minute to clean this. Flip it out of the way. Everybody see this? Okay. I stand behind the head. Sorry guys, it's not straight. I won't take it all down for time's sake, but yes, if I were doing it in person, I would take it all down and make it absolutely perfect. Because this is my main guide right here. Stand behind the head and determine the angle. Now here's my angle, right? 0 degree elevation, no elevation whatsoever. If this had a back and I wanted 0, I'd be cutting on the skin. We can't cut on the skin with the mannequins because it's very tough to cut on the rubber. It moves. Stand behind the head, 0 degree elevation. Now, notice that I'm absolutely parallel to that party. I'm not over here and I'm not over there. See this? Everything look good? So what do? Here's my short hair. You can see it pushing. See the hair pushing? Everybody see that? Now, watch what happens. I've cut that parallel to that parting. Watch what happens here. If I come off that parting, I'd be cutting that off. If I come this way, I'd be cutting that off. I wouldn't have not only the same angle, but when I went to match this side, I have to start guessing as to whether I held it over here or over here. If you follow this part, there's no guessing, because here's your design side. You go to your copy, put your angle in, you draw it down to parallel to the parting. You've got a guide here, right? I'm parallel to this parting. My fingers are mirroring my parting. There's my guide, and I cut. Drop it, pick up my next little section. I don't like to do that in all one. Draw it down. This is parallel. Everything's parallel. Go back down, because this is my most important guide now. This has to be the same length. Okay? If this is not the same length, adjust it to make it the same length, because once you cut this, this side is done. You don't need that side anymore. You just take and follow this side through the same as you did that side. It's that simple. Now, if you deviate, and you hold this here, or you hold it there, when you finish your haircut, it's going to be like this, one way or the other. But if you follow this parting, your haircut will be within that much. Anyone not understand that?
I understand that. That's easy to me.
So,
When you get into the other cuts, when you start elevating, that's, and then when you get up here.
not messing with anything. Quit back that quick. Can everybody see this one right? Is it better? You tell me.
So for a convex parting, would you comb the hair all back?
I'm sorry.
For a convex parting, would you comb the hair all back? Like concave, it's easier to, just push all, comb the hair to the side.
I'll show you how to do a convex.
Okay.
So let's go through the concave first. Okay? Now, I don't grab that whole section of hair. I'll take half of it, clean it real good. My total focus is right there, not down here. Everything look good? I'm parallel.
Yeah.
My fingers mirror my parting.
And if you get into a habit of taking the same size section each time, whether it be half-inch or quarter-inch, when you get to your other side, you know that you take a half-inch or a quarter-inch, and you're doing the same thing. Because what you do on one side, you have to do on the other. Because if you take an inch parting, you're going to get a totally different result.
What tangent are you doing there, Robert?
I'm sorry?
Moderate tension?
Control, control. If this were curly hair, I would not be stretching it, because you know it's going to come back up. Catherine in the chair did hers today. Okay, that's 0-degree elevation. Draw it to off. Now, we want to start to put some graduation in here, off the head shape, which is a 45.
Do the A-line, you'll continue that same pattern you just did all the way out.
All the way up. We're going to do this except we're going to put graduation off the head shape. Okay, pick up, don't go back to the original, just pick up a piece of the because that's tangent off the head shape. But when you get over here, look at where the comb is. And if you lift this out to where you lifted this, this is going to be cut shorter and you're going to lose your volume because your flats are real strong here in the corner. Toughest part of the haircut is right here. Everyone who's cut hair can attest to that. This is where everyone makes their mistake. Or it's where they're apt to make a mistake. So if you stand back and you visually look at the head, you can actually see the difference. And it's right here. Now you're not going to be 100%. We're not going to get down to it. But that gives you your strong rounds and your strong flats. So you stand back, you do everything that we've done previous. We clean.
Robert, you're very hard to videotape. I just want you to know that.
We do everything the same. I'm moving this around so
He
everyone
jumps
can
around.
see it.
It doesn't matter.
See that? That's where you start your graduation. Not down here where there's a bend or not up here where there's a buckle.
What do you videotape into the mirror?
I've done it.
So my
Yeah,
guy
but right
up
now
here,
he's backwards too. It won't help.
Does everything look good?
So if we could just do the, I don't know how to say it, where we, I don't know how to say it. The elevations are different between that part of the head and the flat.
Remember, here's what you want to remember. See the back of the head, the occipital bone, and the parietal ridge as it moves around? Look at my head. See the comb stand out? Now look at it stand down. See the space in here?
Right.
The emptiness? Look at what happens around the head shape. Now watch, see how it drops down? In this area here? And see how it moves out?
So it's almost as though if those of us that have a hard time with that, if we could cut that center section that's elevated more.
Don't try
to
to
the
change
flat.
it, this works. Don't try to change it, this works. If you just look at it, if you just look at this, see it protrude here? Look at it. See it there? Now look at it here. The more you visually look at this, the more it will just automatically jump out at you, where there's very little chance for error.
There's also a question, use your comb like he's using it right now.
Yeah,
And everyone's
comb
using
on
it
the party.
different.
Comb has to be on the party. Yes, Kathy?
I don't know if this is right. When you're doing a concave, when you get to this section right behind the ear, if you look, there's more space that the hair has to travel down, which means that it has to be longer.
Right.
Or, I don't know
You have
if
to
space,
fill.
there's more of a road that needs to be covered, you
See
know.
this? See how deep this is? These are my flats. See
So
how deep they are?
ultimately, you have to have more length.
You need more length. And that's why when most people do this by pulling this out here, what they do is they end up cutting this volume,
Your corner.
that corner off. Same on the side. On the side here, see my flats here? And watch where I get up to my ridge, how I can move the hair out of the way. Because the head shape, the hair here, to be take a look at this. The hair from this occipital bone out to here is what? What would you say that is? 2 inches? Now come down here, because of the head shape, it's maybe 3 inches. Because the head, the flats come in. So you've got this hollow area that you need more hair in to fill it, to give it volume. When you take it out, you're going to lose volume. So you have to keep more hair in the flats than you do in the rounds. With me, guys? Questions asked, because there's no dumb question. Thought I heard a question. Okay. Okay, pick up a piece of the previous. Now notice I'm taking my same concave parting with my previous. Okay? Stand behind the head, go in and clean it real good. Pull it out. Parallel. I'm not over here, and I'm not over here. Everything is the same. The only difference now is that we're putting elevation in the center. Now, when I come to my flats, look at where I'm holding my hands. Look at the difference. There. I'm not out here. I was there. I'm way down here. My hair's clean. It's easy to go make another parting. I visually can see where the head shape breaks. Take my concave, piece of my previous section. Hair coming this way, volume starting to build. Now, we're using the head shape. Now, for a max grad bob off the head shape, if we were to follow this beyond a 45 off the head shape up to the sagittal bone, we'd be at a 90. And we don't want a 90. We want to stay at a 45. So once you get to that 45, then you'll be taking that section and holding it to a 45, and not to a 90 out here. You'll be taking too much hair off.
So just doing the 45 is what
That's
you
doing
call
max grad for a bob off the head shape. Off the head
The
shape.
45 only is max grad?
45. Max graduation is a 45. Now, you can take max grad, and this can become max grad. So you want to understand that.
It wouldn't be a bob.
It wouldn't be a bob. It would be a layered bob above the occipital, yeah. We'd be going up into a 90, which we'll do in a few minutes here.
Now I understand.
Okay, piece of my previous. Now, because that angle starts to get beyond the 45, I'm not going to take it. See where that angle would be? So I'm going to hold it at a 45, and I think we're all capable of that.
See, that's a great example, Scott's question, okay? It's a great example of what we're trying to accomplish. We want you to know what elevations and what partings are going to do what. You know, so if I go beyond that, what have I got? Do I have a bob? Now we've went to a layered bob, okay? So we want you guys to understand how important and what those layers and those angles and elevations do. So you can look at that haircut and say, this is how I achieve it, this is how I correct it if I've made a mistake. Now I'm going to build my weight, this is how I'm going to create volume, okay? So you guys learn to pick that up all based on. We don't have, you know, there's not a question. This gives you a flat concrete way of doing it.
Okay, now, there's 3 panels and 3, let's call them 3 panels. There's your back panel, your side panel, and your frontal panel, which we call the fringe, bang area, side, and back, okay? The reason for these 3 panels is the hair from the sagittal bone, which is at the top of your head, grows in that direction. So when you cut it, you want to cut it in that direction so that when it's dry, it's going to lay in that direction. You're not forcing it over here, and then when you force it over here, it falls back there, and you can have long pieces or short pieces. Okay, so you want to stay within those panels. For the back, you're going to cut up to your sagittal, and then you're going to pick a point. You can do the little break thing, you know, where you push it, it breaks. That's cool. Or you can pick a point from your sagittal to the center of your ear, to the front of your ear, to the back of your ear. It's up to you. I generally use the center, but you don't need to go. It's not that important. So everything from the sagittal to the back, you're going to cut in the back panel. Remember, we're staying with 45 here. So we're just going to come down to that 45. Okay, that is my back section. Hair grows that way, I'm going to cut it in that panel. Okay, your side panel is from your sagittal bone to your frontal bone. Now, on the mannequins, you got about 2 inches, 2.5 inches. On a human, if you look at my frontal bone and my sagittal, it's about 4 inches, right? 4 inches? Right? So there's a difference. For discipline's sake, stay with this on the mannequin. Even though it looks like it's a tiny little section. There will be people that only have a 2-inch side panel. Most will have 4 inches, but then you're going to find people with 2 inches of a side panel. So don't try to create your side panel. Don't cause a problem for yourself. Stay within what it is. You might find a lady with a 6-inch side panel. I mean, really long hair.
What about, sometimes do people have different sizes of side panels? Like I found if I go to the center of the ear on both sides, sometimes it will seem there's more hair on one side than the other. So should I try to make them exactly the same on both sides, or should I go by the center, you know?
Yeah. What you want to watch for, up here in the crown, growth pattern up here in the crown. You can have someone that has not so much curly hair, but wavy, strong wavy hair with a real strong growth pattern. And if you stretch that and let it go, and you don't see it dry a little bit, you know, it's too wet and you don't see that wave, when you blow it out and you go to check it, you're going to see that you've got some shorter pieces because that wave is throwing you off. So keep an eye on that. Don't put too much tension up in here. Same with your frontal sections. You know, people with those peaks and your recessions. Watch for your recessions. Some people have a double recession. You know, if you have a question you were going to answer, Lisa?
No, I don't think you answered the question.
Oh, no. Well, go ahead.
Oh,
Is that the
no.
question you were going to ask, double recession?
No, she was talking about the part, the side part, you know how you find the ear split?
Right.
Sometimes it's like this. You know, sometimes one has, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, well, I
One
find
has
it,
both
if I
sides.
do it the way, if I let it split naturally, if I do it
Right.
that way, it, for me, it's almost always is not the same on each side.
She's talking about the side.
But if I do it and I part, you know, with my comb, I can get it the same, but I like to do it where you comb it and let it where it splits naturally. Or just like, right, like center of the ear.
I haven't really, on the side parting, I've always put it where I want it, but also watching this growth pattern here.
You gotta keep in mind though, the client is not going, the natural, I think, is going, I mean, the natural's gonna overbear whatever parting you put in. So you gotta somewhat, like what you're saying, if one side is a little thicker, no matter, where your natural parting is, that's how it's gonna be when they blow dry it and they work with it for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So
One side of the head is always going to be better than the other, too. One side will fall better, one
I
side...
guess I'm just trying to say you can't force something in one section. If more hair is falling into that side panel, then that's the way it's gonna be.
I don't think you're going to find a side panel that's going to be different from the sagittal to the frontal. I don't know, I've never seen a side panel be different.
Basically, there are people that have one thicker side than the other.
Yeah, one thicker and one thinner. I don't think you're going to
Not
find...
thicker and thinner, the distance from here, from the ear slit to this whole panel,
Yeah.
to this whole panel, the length of it from here to here.
But I still think you're going to... It can be
That's what
different.
you-
I'm going to leave the front in here. We'll cut. We'll go to the bang section next. Okay, I'm cutting an A-line, so I'm going to follow my concave. What I see, the biggest problem people have here is instead of taking their perimeter design down here, they end up taking this piece here, which is shorter, and they use this for a guide to connect this piece here. What happens? This becomes shorter than my original design, my perimeter design. So if you take this out of the way, you've got your corner here.
Watch it, Chubby.
See that? And here. Here's my corner. Here's my T to my parting, parallel to my parting. Now, I'm also going to take this T to this parting, which I didn't do back here, but I'm going to do it here on the side. That gives me more of an A-line. It also gives me another guide, because I've seen most people do this on one side, do this on the other side, and sometimes do this. So if you take this and make it T, when you go to the other side, you will do the same thing and you will have the same length.
So it's not held the same way that we held the original.
When we cut in the back, we worked off of this guy, right? Right? Everything came parallel to this, right? When we get to the side of the head, and we're putting this concave parting in, and we're matching it up with this down here, we have another guide, because we can take this T now. In other words, here's my parting. My fingers are going to be parallel, but I'm also going to be T. It's another guide that we can incorporate. See the T here? Not to pull it this, not to put my concave part in there and then draw the hair down this way and cut that angle here. This gives you another guide that's going to be the same when you go to the other side. You don't have to guess that I pulled the hair here, I pulled it over here, I pulled it out here. You know exactly where you pulled it.
That's the same technique you would use on an A-line and a max scribe.
Yeah, yeah. It's not, it's another guide.
That T to your parting will get you closer to the parallel parting that you've done in the back with the horizontal, okay? Because as the head shape turns, okay, as this turns, you don't want to go parallel from this parting because you're working off this parallel back here. So if you take and try and keep parallel with your parting back here, that will turn this into a T parting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can you stand up and do that?
You can also use, most of the cuts we do today are, I'm sorry. No. Most of the cuts we do today, well, now we're doing a lot of, not so much the strong A-line. Most of the cuts are more parallel. you know, on the sides. You know, even the bobs are a little more parallel than they were the strong A-line. When you're doing a strong A-line, you can use this hairline as another guide. You want to take as many guides as you can. You know, you can design anything you want on this design side. Okay? The design side is the easy side. It's the copy side that you want as many references so that you can copy it exactly the same way you did the design side, so you don't have to go back 6 times over the haircut to make it work. I've watched good haircutters go back to a haircut. They end up with a great result, but they've gone over the haircut 4 times. 4 times to make it work. Seems like a waste of time to me. A waste of time is a waste of money, and it's a waste of being professional. When you set out to what you're going to do, you set, okay, here's my plan, here's the haircut I want to do. When you set that in motion and you do your design side, and you take as many references from that design side that you can get, and you go over to your copy side, you implement all those references. There's no problem. But if you don't have references, if you traveled over to the East Coast on I-75, you got to get back now. So you got to have that reference to come back on I-75. It's the same as doing your design and copy side. You got to get from point A to point B and back. So as many references, as many guides that you can find to make it simple to do this side from what you've created here are going to be beneficial, and they're going to get you home. They're going to get you back to Naples. You went to Miami, now you want to get back to Naples. 75. Take a turn on to North 75, whatever it takes to get you home. Any questions on that, on the references and guides? Anybody? Okay. Now, we're doing max grad on this. So, here we are. We're still in the flats. Let's turn around. See what the comments? Starting to get just a little bit of graduation. But when I come up to her rounds, look how the comb moves out. Now, I'll show you something. If you take and look at this hair comb down, comb down straight like this, 0 elevation. Look at where the hair lays against the head. Did everybody see that? There's absolutely no volume, right? You don't see any volume at all. Now, if you take that and you pull it out to max grads, everybody see this? That's max grad. Now, can you see the triangle that's next to the head? See this triangle here? What you see here is what you're going to get here. This much volume is going to be down here, as opposed to nothing. See? Kind of interesting, isn't it? Why that is, that's how much I'm going to have here. Exactly that much volume. Notice where the head is here. Look at where the head is here. Now it slopes in here. The head shape will tell you everything, and it's good to use because everyone's head shape is different. What you cut on one person will not work on the next person unless they have the same exact head shape. Okay? Hair's moving this way. You've got your max grad in there. Questions?
I have a question. No, when you have that angle up here, and then you come right up
So
to
it
that.
wouldn't be a bob anymore. It would be a layered haircut. So if we leave this at a 45 here, we're keeping the volume there. See where my volume is? Now look what would happen if I took that hair to a 90. I would totally lose my bob. I would have a shag. See? Where to be taking that 45 we created in there, lift it out to a 90, my bob's gone. I don't have bob anymore. But you can go above the occipital because of the head shape. Same concave parting now. Same concave parting. And come out to a 90. My fingers are concave, and I'm doing a 90 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to free this hair up to go from shorter here to longer here, but yet at 90 degrees of elevation. So I've got freer hair. But yet I still have a concave, short to long, pushing this way. The interior part of the haircut is giving me the volume, and it's also going to move with my bob.
Are you still going to come to a full forward on that?
Because when I cut this, my finger's concave, I've got a 90.
You still parallel with the party?
Yeah, absolutely, 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 absolutely. Never deviate from parallel to that parting. The most important parting throughout the haircut is that center parting. Once you deviate from that, you got to go back in and fix. You got to go back. This is where discipline comes in. The discipline to say, yes, here I am, I'm out, I'm parallel, I'm 90, I've got my concave. Everything goes repetitiously through your mind. The first thing I think of when I look at a section of hair and I say, I'm going to attack this by doing a 90 degree above the occipital, but I want it concave 90. I cut my concave parting. I lift the hair, I clean it. It's discipline. Everything just comes disciplined. 90 parallel to the parting.
Are you combing it to the previous parting, or are you combing the previous parting to that?
I've taken that from the previous parting, right at the top of the occipital bone, and I've lifted it up to a 90.
So you're taking that one up to the new parting.
Just now the previous, not down here, because I don't want to lose my.
No, I understand.
I don't want to lose my 45.